Okay, so I don't think anyone's done this yet, but stitch this and tell me the horror story of how you lost your virginity. I'll go first. So I didn't lose my virginity until college. I waited. So my freshman year, I decided I was gonna lose it to a random person. So I downloaded Tinder. So I met this boy, and when I tell you he had a King Kong appendage, it was huge. So we did the deed, and there was some bleeding, of course. So we're sitting on his couch, and I had a towel on, and I just felt a lot of wetness. It was really wet. So I get up, and I had bled through the towel all on his couch. So much blood. So I'm freaking out. He's freaking out. I run to his bathroom and try to clean it up, and I overflow his toilet, and it just floods his entire bathroom. So I walk out, and I'm like, hey, I flooded your bathroom. I'm going to the hospital. So I get to the hospital, and I had to have stitches put in my vagina because he ripped me. Surprisingly, we are still friends to this day.
At one time in my life, I think you could say I was a thrill seeker and in need of attention. My spouse was traveling a lot, and it left me home alone so much. I worked in a job that gave me the ability to seek my master's degree. This is where I met Brandon. Brandon was married. We had an instant connection and a mutual infatuation of each other, but we set boundaries that protected ourselves and our hearts. He made it very clear that we need to only seek each other for companionship and company. We were together for about 6 months until his wife found out about his past. Thankfully, she never knew about me. Even though we set boundaries, it was still really hard. Shortly after, there was Thomas. He was a guy I went to elementary school with. I lived about 6 hours away, so I didn't get to see him very often. It worked for a few months. I would make excuses to sneak down to see him. He lived back in my hometown. That didn't last long. I changed jobs and decided I need to find myself because I felt lost. I started dieting and lost 40 pounds. I had long hair and tan skin, a pretty face and a bright smile, and my spouse and I moved back to our home state of North Carolina, and I decided I was going to leave my past behind me. As soon as we crossed the state line, I felt I was born again, bound and determined to be a responsible, married woman. That is, until I hit a brick wall. My mother has a lifelong best friend who has stayed in touch over the last 40 plus years. The best friend's son has been someone I've known since I was a little girl and would dream about. I even told Carter's mother on the night of my rehearsal dinner that I was supposed to be marrying her son instead. She just smiled and told me that he wasn't ready yet. My mother would give me updates on how Carter was doing, and all along I knew in the back of my mind, if Carter was with me, I could make him happy. Carter had a live-in witch of a girlfriend, and they had a son together. She was hateful, and she used Carter for his income and good looks. He is definitely arm candy. On New Year's Eve, Carter had a tragic accident with cocaine and alcohol that put him into total organ failure. His mother was preparing his funeral arrangements. All the while, I was sitting by the phone waiting for the latest update. He was in a coma for over a month, and I prayed as hard as I possibly could for God to bring him back to me. God did bring him back. He has been sober for 7 years. Once Carter returned to work, I called him and said, "You may not remember me, but our mothers arranged our marriage when we were children." He laughed and said, "Oh my God! Hi, Bethany! How the hell did you find me?" I simply laughed and said, "Google." We talked every day nonstop for a few months. That is, until his girlfriend found his phone. I got an email from Carter after not hearing from him, basically saying he is stuck because of his son, and that he could not talk to me for a while. His words were, "Goodbye for now, but not forever," and that I would be tucked away in his heart. I responded and said, "You will always know how to find me." During this time of absence, I get a call from my mother at work. Carter has been in an accident. There is swelling in his brain, and they think he is brain dead. Every time he is away from me, I die inside. And he literally dies. This motherfucker had died twice on me. He's since recovered, but again, I waited by the phone, and this time I actually sent Carter an email on the day of his accident, and it said, "Dear God, have mercy over Carter, heal his brain, stop the bleeding, cleanse and heal his mind, body, and soul. I know you have a larger life plan for this man. Change his circumstances, turn his weaknesses into strength, his suffering into compassion, sorrow into joy, and pain into comfort. Fill Carter with patience during this time of healing. We ask you heal Carter. Bring him back to me. Thank you for our many blessings, and thank you for blessing my life with Carter Andrews. In Christ's name I pray. Amen. I continue to email him, letting him know that even though I may be the last person in his mind at that moment, he is constantly on mine. All I could do was let him know I am still right here. Fast forward 3 years. I'm still getting updates about Carter from my mother. I have a son of my own now, and still long for the love of my life, who I have not seen in person since I was a little girl. I updated my LinkedIn to reflect a promotion I got at work, and Carter sent me a message saying, "You said I would always be able to find you." He had since moved out of his home and back in with his mother. And is no longer with the witch girlfriend. His son is 18 and getting ready to graduate high school. We talk every day, all day. I wear an earbud and keep my mic muted just so I can hear him throughout the day. Yeah, it sounds kind of stalkerish and creepy, but he loves knowing that he is always in my ear. I listen to make sure that he is still breathing. God brought him back to me, and then some. He was madly fallen in love with me while I never stopped loving him. My love grows deeper every second, and it pains me to be away from him. The first time I saw him was exactly 1 year ago. When we kissed, the earth stopped spinning. It took my breath away. We lost track of time. We were underneath the stars and everything was absolutely perfect, except I am married to someone else. When we are together, I have to hold him up for at least an hour because he cannot stop shaking. At least one of us can stay calm. My nerves always hit me when I'm in the car about to pull into the parking spot. As soon as I see him, everything calms down for me. He makes me feel wanted and desired. He craves me and honestly loves everything about me. Every flaw, everything I hate about myself, he loves. He is my biggest cheerleader, and he gives me the biggest amount of confidence just by the way he looks at me. His strengths are my weaknesses, and my strengths are his weaknesses. He is the only person I can get mad at, be in a fight with, have an intelligent conversation about the issue, come to an understanding, and we can move on. We both end up apologizing, which is something I have never done. I could go on, but it would feel like bragging. I guess I need to tell you about my spouse now. Raymond and I have been together since we were teenagers. I was 16 and he was 19. We dated through high school. He gave me a diamond my senior year of high school because I begged for one. But what did I know? I did 4 years of undergrad college in a different state, seeing Raymond occasionally on the weekends. We got married 3 months after I graduated college. I was 22. We moved away shortly after our wedding for his job. The thing about me and Raymond is that I've always wanted to do my own thing, without asking what he thinks. His opinion or his approval really never mattered to me. We used to be affectionate as teenager, but that has quickly stopped as soon as I went away to college. Every year that passes, it is a less and less affection. I hated the way it felt when he touched me. But what am I supposed to do? My parents are divorced, and I'm horrible at confrontation. He's not mean to me, he just doesn't fulfill my spirit. I try to occupy my time by singing in a praise band at church, playing tennis, basically doing activities that he could join me on. I have never had to break up with anyone I ever dated. They always broke up with me. So not only do I have to break up with Raymond, I have to divorce him, but I'm dying inside. I really did love him when we were teenagers, but I'm not the same person I was when I was 18. Unfortunately, we did not grow together. Beige and vanilla, hospital gray. I've had 4 miscarriages with this man, and not once did I get support or comfort from him. Instead, I got pressure from his mother, asking, well, what does the doctor think? And if I could be a surrogate for you, I would. I mean, really? When I found out I was pregnant with a boy, I did a ton of research on circumcision and was completely against it to the point of being hysterical. Raymond comes home to find me crying my eyes out on the couch, and I said in between my sobbing, don't make me do this to my son. His response was, you don't have to, the doctor will. Not once did he comfort me or hold me or discuss anything about the decision with me. I went into labor naturally, and I labored at home all night, and it sounds exactly like whale sounds, echoing through the house. I went from my bed to the bathtub, back to the bed, arching my body, trying to get comfortable. Not once did he comfort me or help me out of the tub or come check on me or even offer to take me back to the hospital. I had to go wake him up and beg him to take me back to the hospital. I labored alone. I set up my son's room alone. I have done everything alone. If I want something done, I'm one of those who has to do it because the world will end while I wait on Raymond to do anything for me. Now I have the responsibility of figuring out how to take care of my mother who cannot afford to live on her own, my 3-year-old son, my daily life that I'm exhausted from. I hate going home every night because I'm not going home to Carter. It's not as easy as it sounds to just leave because I have nowhere to go. How do you tell someone, I'm dying inside and I only feel alive when I'm in the presence of someone else? Rebecca, this is my story up to this point. The next page is unwritten, but in my heart and in my mind, I already belong to Carter. I have to make my reality match. My question is, how do I get over the fear? How do I prepare for a divorce? How do I stop dragging my feet?